Imagine for a moment that you are standing in front of a mirror that reflects the reality of our planet. You will not only see the beauty of Earth, but also the damage that we are inflicting on it. Today, I would like to talk to you about one of the biggest challenges that humanity is facing: climate change. Climate change is not only an hypothesis or a future prediction, it is a palpable reality that we are already experiencing. From rising extreme temperatures to melting ice caps, these are some of the signs of this phenomenon. What science tells us is that our human activity, like burning fossil fuels or deforestation, only accelerate this process. The impacts of climate change not only affect the environment, but also the economics, the communities, and the human health. For example, extreme weather events like droughts or hurricanes cause a lot of losses that are irreparable. And not only that, climate change only increases human inequality. Time is short. We have to take action now because if not, our future generation will be in danger. It is responsible of all of us, not only for huge companies or organizations, but also for each one of us individually. We have the responsibility to take action, and we have to put aside all our differences and take action collectively. In conclusion, we have to remember our power to do wonderful things and to improve the development of our planet in order to take it into the correct direction.
Last Monday I was relaxing out my yard when I realized how the weather had changed over the last month. For example, 3 weeks ago I couldn't even go out without a jacket. Well, that day the sun was shining and there was a very pleasant temperature. The fact that caught my attention was that my orange tree had bloomed, while 3 weeks ago it even looked sad and decaying. And that's how the question got into my mind. How does the aspect of a plant rely on the weather or the environment? Well, thanks to basic knowledge on biology, we all know that water and solar light are beneficial for every type of plant. And also we know that CO2 and the water's mineral salts are used by the plant in order to synthesize organic matter. But dipping a little bit into it, we also know that every plant needs a certain light wavelength, temperature, humidity, and carbon dioxide concentration to develop its attributes the best way possible. And that's the reason why we can find endemic species. Well, these characteristics are the responsible of the perfect performance of the plant's physiology. For example, high temperatures and low humidity values are responsible of a tightening on the plant's stomachs. These are structures that allow the flow of the air through the plant's leaves. And these are the main characteristics that affect the development of a plant. Therefore, we can sense the importance of maintaining the environment and the environmental factors on its average amount. Here is where climate change comes into play. The main result of climate change is an increase in temperature, which is the cause to less humidity, drier soil, or even the increase on the sea level. This last characteristic also could lead to a translocation on the coastal environments that may affect on the endemic species of the inner parts of the country. All these results can affect grossly on the local plant's survival. So from here, I would like to encourage everyone to take action and start taking care of our plants. It's from everyone to everyone. And thank you everyone, and this is everything.
When we hear about climate change in the news or in posts on social media, we always think that is something whose consequences we will assume in the future, and at the moment we are not affected by what it can cause. And we couldn't be more wrong. When we talk about recycling or any other measure against the accumulation of chemical or plastic waste, we are not able to understand the serious consequences that this can have for the global ecosystem and for ourselves through the food that we consume. When tons of plastics and toxic waste reach the sea, those who ingest the plastic and waste are small microorganisms from the marine ecosystem. And who feeds on these microorganisms? The fish we consume daily. So the waste that we throw away and don't recycle, we consume it again without realizing it. According to the Spanish Public Health magazine, which is a public organization dependent on the Ministry of Health, it points out that the fish with the highest amount of mercury are swordfish and tuna, both fresh and canned. It also recommends avoiding the consumption of these fish for pregnant women and children under 10 years of age, as it is harmful to the kidneys, lungs, and cardiovascular system. Another even more alarming fact is that according to a study carried out between the Oceanographic Center of Vigo and Santander, 78% of salmon, anchovies and sardines from the northwest Iberian continental shelf contain microplastics in their digestive tract. Another scientific group from the University of Las Palmas of Gran Canaria has published that 80% of wild mackerel caught on the islands have plastics in their stomachs, and 65% of aquaculture bass from farms located in the sea also have plastics and contains plastics inside their body. The presence of microplastics in our body can have devastating effects on our health, like some research has determined. Ingestion of these particles can cause gastrointestinal problems, inflammation, and other health problems. Inhalation can also cause respiratory problems and other health problems. Although research is underway to determine the extent of these impacts, so that we must reduce the large amount of plastics we use every day to avoid its harmful effects on our health and prevent these components from ending up in our body. That is why we must reason and make people aware of this issue, since no matter where the damage is caused, the planet suffers it, and above all, we suffer it.
Rising ozone levels and warming water are two of the most urgent problems in our planet. Today, global warming is produced by the burning of fossil fuels, the cutting down of the forest, and raising of livestock. Since all of these contributes together with enormous quantities of gases that release into the atmosphere to the appearance of the greenhouse effect, causing the glacier melt and the ocean's water expands, resulting in sea level rise. Since early 19th, many amount of glaciers have been melting, and human activities are the causes of this problem. Specifically, in the Industrial Revolution, carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gas emissions have increased temperatures, causing even greater temperature risk at the poles, and as a result, the glaciers have been melting. Even if we manage to reduce emissions in the next decades, more than a third of glaciers will melt before the year 2100. As in sea ice, the 95% of the oldest ice in the Arctic has already disappeared. The scientists estimate that if its emissions continue to rise unchecked, the Arctic could become ice-free, as oceans and air temperature it continue to rise. The melting of glaciers causes a rise in sea level that causes major catastrophes at a coastal and global level. Because it increases floods, the slowdown of the Gulf Stream, and the beach erosion. These are just some of the catastrophes. People not only affected because some animals like walrus lose their habitat and bears spend more time on land searching food, and it increases the conflict between the people and bears. Furthermore, warming water is a threat to marine ecosystems, endangering the lives of aquatic beings. Because the warmer water have capacity to retain less oxygen, and this can affect the respiration of the fish. Take urgent and immediate measures to solve these problems, science to reduce our gas emissions into the atmosphere, to reduce the greenhouse effect and the water warming. Some of the measures we can take are to use renewable energy, protect and renew the aquatic ecosystems, such as coral reef that play an important role in the effect of climate change. Like these ecosystems, we have a fundamental role in fighting against rising ocean levels and warming water, because with all these factors we can help the ecosystem, avoiding irreversible problems for our planet and for future generations.
The ongoing phenomenon of melting polar ice caps is a stark reminder of the profound impact of climate change on our planet. In this comprehensive analysis, we explore the complex relationship between melting polar ice caps, climate change, and the greenhouse effect, highlighting the multifaceted dynamics at play and underscoring the urgent need for collective action to address these pressing environmental challenges. The polar ice caps, located in the Arctic and Antarctic regions, are vast expanses of ice that play a key role in regulating the Earth's climate system. These masses of ice act as protective surfaces that bounce sunlight back into space, helping to maintain a global stable temperature. However, the relentless onslaught of climate change, driven largely by human activities, has profoundly altered the dynamics of these ice regions. At the heart of the matter is the greenhouse effect, a natural process by which certain gases of Earth's atmosphere, such as dioxide carbon, methane, or vapor water, trap heat from the sun, warming the planet's surface to a habitable temperature. While essential to sustaining life on Earth, the intensification of its effect by human activities has led to an increase of global warming and its consequences, including the accelerated melting of polar ice caps. Melting polar ice caps reverberate far beyond the polar region, with profound implications in both environment and human society. First and foremost, sea level rise caused by the influx of meltwater into the oceans poses an existential threat to low-lying coastal communities and vulnerable ecosystems. In addition, the release of fresh water from melting polar caps alters ocean circulation patterns and disrupts marine ecosystems, exacerbating the biodiversity loss and threatening livelihoods dependent on fisheries and coastal resources. Moreover, the loss of polar ice reduces Earth's albedo or ability to reflect sunlight, increasing the absorption of solar radiations and contributing to further warming, a phenomenon known as the ice albedo feedback loop. This self-reinforcing cycle of melting begets more melting, with cascading effects on weather systems, climate patterns, and global temperatures. Effectively addressing the challenge of the melting polar ice caps requires a multifaceted approach that encompasses policy, technology, and social mobilization. Central to this effort is the urgent need for reduced greenhouse gas emissions through the widespread adoption of renewable energy sources, energy efficiency measures, and sustainable land use practices. In addition, strengthening international cooperation and forging robust frameworks from emission reduction and climate resilience are critical to addressing the overarching threat of climate change. Equally crucial is the implementation of adaptation strategies aimed at fostering the resilience of ecosystems and communities vulnerable to the impacts of melting ice. This entails investing in infrastructure upgrades and rewarding systems and natural-based solutions that enhance the ecosystem resilience and promote sustainable resource management. In conclusion, the melting of the polar ice caps is a poignant manifestation of the far-reaching consequences of climate change at the greenhouse effect. By unraveling the intricate links between climate dynamics, melting ice, and human activities, we gain valuable insights into the urgent need to reduce emissions, promote sustainability, and foster resilience in the face of the environmental disruption. Only through concerted global cooperation and concerted action can we hope to mitigate the impacts of melting polar ice caps and secure a sustainable future for generations to come.
Climate change is a multifaceted and profound challenge that has emerged as one of the defining issues of our time. Its implications are vast and complex, extending across ecosystems, economies, societies, and generations. At its core, climate change refers to the long-term alteration on the Earth's climate, encompassing shifts in temperature patterns, precipitation regimes, or sea level rise. The primary driver of contemporary climate change is unequivocally human activity, particularly the combustion of fossil fuels such as coal, oil, and natural gas, which releases vast quantities of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. These gases, including carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrous oxide, trap heat in the Earth's atmosphere, leading to a phenomenon known as the greenhouse effect. As a result, global average temperatures have been steadily rising, with the past few decades experiencing some of the warmest years on record. The consequences of this warming are far-reaching and profound. Furthermore, climate change amplifies the frequency and severity of extreme weather events, including hurricanes, heatwaves, wildfires, and heavy rainfall events. These events exert a heavy toll on human health, infrastructure, ecosystem, and economies, particularly in vulnerable regions with limited adaptive capacity and inadequate resources for disaster response and recovery. Mitigating climate change requires urgent and concerned action on multiple fronts, transitioning to a low-carbon economy characterized by renewable energy sources, energy efficiency measures, and sustainable land use practices. It's essential for reducing GHG emissions and limiting global warming to well below 2 degrees Celsius as outlined in the Paris Agreement. Additionally, enhancing resilience and adaptive capacity is critical for coping with the impacts of climate change that are already underway, particularly for marginalized communities and ecosystems on the front lines of climate vulnerability. Addressing climate change is not merely a technical or scientific challenge, it's also a deeply political, economical, and ethical imperative. It requires collective action, solidarity, and cooperation among nations. Equity, justice, and inclusivity must be central principles guiding climate action. ensuring that the burdens and benefits of mitigation and adaptation are distributed fairly, and that the voices of marginalized communities are heard and amplified in decision-making progress. In conclusion, climate change poses an existential threat to humanity and the planet will happen. It demands bold and transformative action at all levels of society, from individual choices and community initiatives to national policies and global agreements. Only through sustained commitment, collaboration and innovation can we safeguard the health, well-being and prosperity of current and future generations in a rapidly changing climate.
The phenomenon of global warming refers to long-term increases in temperature and weather patterns. These changes may be natural due to variations in solar activity and volcanic eruptions. However, since the 19th century, human activities have been the main driver of the global warming, mainly due to the leakage of fossil fuels such as coal, oil and gas. Burning fossil fuels produces greenhouse gas emissions that act like a blanket around the Earth, trapping sun's heat and increasing temperatures. The main greenhouse gas emissions that cause global warming are carbon dioxide and methane. This involves the use of gasoline to drive a vehicle or coal to heat a building, for example. Deforestation also releases carbon dioxide, and agriculture and oil-related activities are the main source of methane emissions. Climate change has played a huge role in biodiversity loss. It has affected marine, terrestrial and freshwater ecosystems. It has caused the loss of local species and the increasing in diseases. On land, it caused plants and animals to move to higher latitudes, mainly near the Earth poles, that cause major consequences to the ecosystems. On water, it has caused the loss of coastal species. The effects of global warming are affecting people's health and will increase with 6 degrees of temperature rise. The main cause of global warming, the burning of fossil fuels, also causes respiratory problems, strokes and heart attacks. In addition, air pollution kills around 8.7 people per day. Power plants that are powered by fossil fuels can be replaced with renewable energy, such as solar and wind parks. Wind turbines and solar panels doesn't generate emissions that pollute the earth or produces global warming. It is essential to take into account the concept of environmental awareness or environmental education, since it allows us to understand that every action that we take on our daily lives affects to the environment. The means of transport we use, the use of plastic bags, and the type of energy we consume, everything affects the environment. Environmental awareness can be promoted two ways: from school through environmental activities for children, to some activities or initiatives to raise awareness on the consequences of our actions to the nature. Concerning the first, the school activities can be applied, such as the classification of solid waste in the proper container, the visit of national parks to see the animals in their natural environment, and activities focusing on the reuse of materials. We can contribute to reducing climate change, from the way we get to other places to the food we eat and the electricity we use. We can make a difference. Do these things to help the climate crisis and play your part in the fight against it. Save energy at home. Most of the energy that we use at home comes from the burning of fossil fuels. You can save energy by changing the light bulbs with LEDs or by washing your clothes with cold water. Use the 3R rule: reduce, reuse and recycle. Most of the items that we buy, clothes and materials, produce carbon emissions when are being manufactured. So to prevent it, buy less, buy used, and repair what can be repaired. You can also get around by walking, cycling and using public transport. Most of the world's roads are saturated with vehicles that are run by petrol. In addition, by getting to the places by cycling or walking, you can get some benefits to the health. Finally, you can ask your utility company whether your home's energy comes from oil, coal or gas, and you can change it from renewable energies.
Good morning. Today I would like to tell you about a memory that I have had since I was a child and that has repeated itself every year since I can remember. I'm referring to the car trip we used to make with my father every summer when we went to spend a few days in the country house where we would meet up the rest of the family. First hours in the car, enjoying the large range of colors that surrounded us, the animals that could be seen among the trees, the music, the landscapes. On the trip we made 2 years ago, were transformed into hours of anxiety, impotence and despair, because an important part of that great forest that I remember was on fire. It took several days to bring the fire under control, thanks to the efforts of a team of professionals who worked without rest, with great determination and courage. Once the shock had passed and the disaster was assimilated, the authorities began an investigation to find out what had really happened, above all to prevent it from happening again. We can think about several causes, such as natural ones, like the very high temperatures or the climate change, which makes organic matter to dry out more easily, increasing the spread of forest fires. Moreover, other climate change conditions such as the winter speed or direction, the humidity level of the soil, or the length of dry periods, which are causes that also favor the fastest spread of fire. But in this occasion, it could be proved that none of the previous proposals was the right one. The fire was a result of human activity, without being sure if it wasn't unintentional or not. Here I'm referring to the simple act of throwing a lit cigarette to the soil, or maybe not completely extinguishing a campfire, which are practices that endanger nature. And like any cause, it also has its effects, causing serious damage and having major consequences, among which we can mention some, such as the fact that forest fires destroy wildlife and vegetation, the extinct of species, disturbing biodiversity, the air pollution caused by the large amounts of smoke that are released into the atmosphere, or that ash and smoke can cause serious health problems for people suffering from allergies or another medical problems. And from all this experience, I realized that we have to take more care and value everything that our environment offers us, as it only takes seconds for a single mistake to destroy everything without any chance to recover, or if there were, it would be at the cost of a lot of time, but nothing will ever be the same again. Well, this is why I want to communicate the need for innovation in fire prevention, as traditional methods are not proven to be fully effective. Moreover, it is also very important to raise public awareness of the issue. I hope that my experience will make us all think, and thank you very much.
To talk about climate change, which is a very common topic nowadays because of the negative effects it is having on our world. But first of all, what is climate change? Climate change refers to significant long-term change in the Earth's weather patterns. The change can manifest themselves in various forms such as increase of global temperatures, change in precipitation patterns, and rising sea levels, among others. The climate change is very harmful as because of increasing temperatures in cold zones, for example in the poles. The increasing temperatures is melting our poles, which are very important to regulate the global temperature. If we don't stop this increase in temperatures, we could reach more than 50 degrees in zones where the normal temperature is 20. The main problem is that people do not know how to avoid climate change, but there are too many simple methods to avoid it. For example, we can recycle it. Instead of throwing all our waste in the same rubbish, we can divide it. Another method is to avoid use of transport. This method not only helps the environment and also helps our physical condition. There are too many methods to avoid the climate change. The problem is that in some cases we don't know that we are contributing to climate change. Of course, we know that when we use a kind of petrol engine, we are polluting the planet. But did you know that a simple using of a piston contributes to climate change? I'm not saying that you shouldn't use it, but sometimes we use it for a simple strip of toilet paper to dry our hands. So as a conclusion, I'd like you to know that it is of utmost importance that we all contribute to helping the environment, as it is a problem that concerns us all.
Hello, I'm going to talk about the oceans and some risks that we have in our days. So first, I'm going to talk about the rise in the sea level. That is one of the most important problems that we are going to have during these years. Also, this is a huge problem due to the disappearance of coastal areas as some of the big cities that we can see in these days, such as in the case of my home of Spain, is the case of Valencia, Barcelona, or Cádiz. Also, I'm going to talk about the problem of the increase in the CO2 levels that we can see in the oceans of our planet, in the Earth. And this will produce the increase of the corrosion waters, and also it also could cause the disappearance of coral reefs, such as we can see in the Australian continent. Also, other of the most important problems that we are going to fight during these years is the disappearance of countless species. A huge problem due to that we can see the disappearance of some of the most important species that are in our oceans, such as sharks or any type of fish, that also perform a vital function in the chain of activity of living beings. Also, the increase in these CO2 levels that we can see in the oceans of our planet is producing this disappearance of the plankton. That is one of the most important energy sources in which animals take this and could live.